Hey, happy days, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Let's talk about the expression, still waters run deep. What the heck does that mean? Well, it's pretty self-explanatory. It comes from nature. Any expression that comes to nature has been, of course, with us, human beings, for hundreds and hundreds of years. It appeared in English in the 1500s, and prior to that, it was in a lot of different languages, dating back to ancient Romans. Because if you look at a river, or if you look at a body of water, oftentimes it will appear calmer or faster or more turbulent based on how deep the water is. If you look at a river that's flowing quickly over some rocks and it's really, really shallow, it looks like it's moving really, really fast. And then if you look at a body of water or a portion of water that is really, really deep, think of a lake where there's not much breeze and it's a really, really deep lake, it appears calm. It appears like there's not much going on the surface. But that, of course, doesn't give you any indication of what's going on underneath the surface. I always think of the iceberg when I think of this. You know, an iceberg's floating along and we only see the little bitty tip of the iceberg. Same thing with still waters run deep. What we see on the surface isn't necessarily what's going on underneath. Now, it may be, but a lot of times we make assumptions based on what we see, and we judge a book by its cover, or we judge people by what they look like or what they act like or what they say in an instant, not understanding that that's just one moment in time. So still waters run deep. Now, this, like any other expression, any other thing, can be viewed in a positive way or a negative way. I have worked with people in corporate America and in my businesses in all walks of life that I would meet and I would see on the surface and they would appear super duper calm, maybe not so sharp, maybe not so smart. And then I would find out that they were just quiet and that they were actually some of the most brilliant people I've ever met. I think of some people that I worked with in corporate America. One of my first jobs out of college was working at a paper plant. We made toilet paper. And one of the team members on my team was like the quietest guy, never really looked up, just sat in the team meetings for like several weeks and didn't say anything. And then we had a problem that we were trying to solve, and we talked about it for about 3 or 4 days in team meetings, and he didn't say a word, didn't look up from the table, and all of a sudden in one of the meetings he spoke up, and he had basically been thinking about and planning out and coming up with a solution for all the days that everybody else had been talking about it, and he came up with and shared the absolutely most brilliant, perfect solution to the problem that we went ahead and implemented and actually saved the company tens of thousands of dollars on one problem. And it's someone that I had probably underestimated. If I look back now and think about it, it was somebody I definitely underestimated in terms of what they were going to contribute to the team and how they were going to participate. And they ended up being he ended up being one of the best team members that I've ever worked with. So you never know. You can't judge a book by its cover. You don't know when you first meet people. Sometimes people need to warm up to other people, and I'm probably one of those people that people need to warm up to, or I need to warm up to them. Now, again, this can work in positive ways. For example, when people are smarter than you first think they are, or more emotional than you first think they are, but it can also work in negative ways. Sometimes we assume people are amazing and are altruistic and they have our best interests at heart and are there to help us, and they turn out to be scoundrels. Worked with another person in my corporate career that appeared to be one of these amazing, nice, wonderful people on the surface, and turned out that he was actually more of a predator and preyed on women in the organization. And I got caught in his web for a little while, not very long, but for a little while, before I did something about it, and we made sure that he was taken out of the organization and that it wasn't somebody, that he couldn't do it to somebody else again. So it can go both ways. You know, think of child molesters, sexual predators. They're often very quiet, very stealth. They appear friendly on the surface, yet their intentions are very, very harmful and traumatic. That's really a bad example, but it just goes to show you that still waters can run deep in positive or negative directions. And I guess the lesson there for all of us is to not judge a book by a cover, not assume anything about people when we first meet them, but to listen to our intuition, listen to our gut, listen to and look for the signs of who people really are. Because people always show us who they are eventually. It might take a while because still waters run deep, but we always know who people are. People always show us who they are based on their behavior over time. And sometimes it takes a little more time than others with different people. Some of the best people I've worked with in different areas of business and some of the smartest people are the quietest, the people that that aren't making a big fuss, that aren't emotional, that don't show, who they are. They don't wear their heart on their sleeve. They are keeping their emotions close to their vest and keeping their intelligence close to their vest, because sometimes people don't want other people to know how smart they are. It depends, based on their experiences. Maybe they weren't always rewarded for being super smart or for speaking up or for sharing how they felt and what they thought about things. I mean, we all come from different environments, different experiences, and that colors how we behave right now. So, still waters run deep. Have you run across people in situations where you might have misunderstood who they really are and how they would play a part in your life and in your organization? Or are you really good at understanding and reading people? I have gotten better and better at it as I've gotten older. But geez, when I was younger, I definitely misunderstood and misinterpreted people. I mean, I didn't fall for the guy, but I fell for his tricks that I thought he was a really nice person. Turns out to be a really, really scary, dangerous individual. And I underestimated people. And, sometimes we even underestimate ourselves. Sometimes it's better, especially when we're building and growing and supersizing our organization, to step back, be quiet. I mean, we want people to know what to expect from us and who we really are, be who we really are. But sometimes it's okay to take a deep breath, step back, and just observe and watch and think about and consider before we open our mouths and decide things. It's important as an entrepreneur and as a business owner to make good, quick decisions, but it's also important to make good, kind of thought out decisions. It's sort of a balancing act where we want to be able to make decisions, but we don't want to be rash. We don't want to be unpredictable. We want to lead our people. We want to lead our organization. And sometimes that takes thoughtfulness. I'll never forget building my Italian food business. I was next door to another business owner. I was in the city of Hudson. It's a small town where we moved the USDA facility, and one of the neighbors, we actually, I let him use my garbage. We shared a garbage. So we were chatting one day, and he was talking about my sisters, because I have lots of sisters growing up, and we all are like a year apart in high school. So everybody kind of knew who we were, a small town. And he was like, "Oh, I remember you. You're the quiet one," because he was a couple years older than me in high school, and I really didn't know him then. And this is, decades later, and he's like, "Oh, I remember you were the quiet one," and I just laughed, and I couldn't wait to tell my sisters that, because I am definitely not considered the quiet one in my family. But it just goes to show you that different people have different experiences of us and who they think we are versus who we think we are. So just keep in mind that it's always interesting to get other people's perspective and know how you're perceived by the world versus just how things appear from inside out. So that's it. Go out, make it an amazing day. Share in the comments below if you've had experience with this expression. I love hearing other people's stories about the different expressions we're talking about and what they mean to you and how you've experienced them. The whole point of this is to get you to, and get me primarily, to think about how other people are thinking, how other people are behaving, what might be impacting them, and how I might be impacting them based on different words and different expressions and what they mean to me and to other people and what they could mean to us. So I hope you're getting a little bit out of this. I'm really enjoying it. It's just kind of a fun segment for me every day, and a fun detour and a fun way of thinking outside the box and looking at things differently, because sometimes all we have to do is look at things differently, and the things we look at change. And that's really a powerful concept. And one of the best ways to do that is by reading, studying, learning, being curious about things, asking questions, reading, understanding what things mean to you and what they mean to other people. And so this is just a fun way to do that. Go out, have an amazing day. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow with another interesting idiom, where it comes from, what does it mean, and what could it mean to you as you're growing and building and supersizing your business. Bye. See you tomorrow.